Hey guys, welcome to another video on this channel. Villager Workers is an extension to the Villager Recruits mod that allows you not to only build your own villager army, but also to turn villagers into a productive workforce. You can assign them to farm crops, chop down trees, go fishing and more, slowly building your villager empire. So let's not wait and dive in. Let's start with the basics. To hire workers, you need to find a noble villager. These villagers can spawn in any village with more than 7 inhabitants. If there's no noble villager nearby, there is a random chance each in-game day that the villager will become noble. This noble villager can turn nearby villagers into workers and hire them. With each level up, it increases the maximum number of traits and unlocks additional professions for recruiting. However, enough villagers need to be nearby to take on the roles as workers. Also, to hire them, you always need emeralds. There are following worker professions: a farmer, lumberjack, miner, merchant, builder, fisherman, animal farmer, courier and cook. Now that we have hired a worker, we want to put him to work, of course. For this, we first need to prepare a storage area. This will be the area nearby workers will deposit their output at, and where they will also fetch needed materials for their work. Open your recruits command screen, which is bound to R by default, then press on the pickaxe on the bottom right and click Place Storage. Now a storage area appears, which is 5 × 5 blocks wide and 4 blocks tall. By right-clicking the chest icon, you can aim it, move it horizontally, spin it or destroy it again. You need to assign which type of workers should use it, to have different storage areas for different kinds of loot and workers. Storage areas can also be used by your army for upkeep by using the upkeep button while looking at a storage icon. Regardless of the worker's profession, they need food, which you can already put into chests in the storage area. And secondly, we need to place the work area for the job we want to establish. Note that the storage and work area shouldn't be more than 64 blocks apart. For this, we also open the command screen and then press Place whatever job we want. This will set up a work area, which varies in size depending on the profession. By right-clicking on the hovering icon, we can configure the work area. Finally, we need to put all the items required for the work to be done into a chest in the storage area. Then we can tell a worker to follow us by right-clicking and bringing it near the work area. After we tell the worker to wander freely by right-clicking again, it will start working. The worker will pull the materials it needs from the storage area, do the profession's tasks, and then put the output back into the storage, usually after reaching an output of roughly 64 items. Note that the worker will need to replenish tools like an axe or pickaxe after they break. If the worker can't continue working because it is missing an item, like an axe for the lumberjack, it will search for the respective item in the storage areas nearby. If it can't find a fitting item, it will notify you in the chat and stop working. Later, we can also scale up our production by, for example, placing multiple work areas of the same type. This can be useful, so for example a farmer can watch over multiple farm areas and harvest crops whenever they are ready in one of the farms. Optionally, we can also be super nice and give our workers a sweet home with a bed and chest. This will improve the morale and keep their health up. A high morale will slightly increase the efficiency of the workers and influence their behavior during sieges, which I will tell you later about. So open the command screen and place a home, which needs to be 3 × 3 blocks wide. It requires a bed, a chest, as well as walls, a roof, door and a light source. However, some deviations are allowed. So you can, for example, place a home in a larger house, as long as it roughly fulfills the criteria. At night, nearby workers will move into empty homes and become their residents. You can evict workers from a home via the home's interface. Let's take a closer look at the different professions. A crop farm area is 9 × 9 blocks wide. By accessing the farm's interface, you can choose which types of crops should be planted. To choose the crops, they need to be in your inventory at the moment. To work in this farm, the workers need a bucket of water, a hoe and the seeds. If there are nearby farmers, they will fetch the required equipment from the storage and start preparing the farm, planting seeds and eventually harvest the crops. A lumber area is 16 × 16 blocks wide and can be worked by lumberjacks. By accessing the farm's interface, You can decide if the workers should shear leaves before chopping, strip logs before chopping, if they should replant trees, and which types of trees should be planted. If you want to choose specific saplings, they need to be in your inventory. To work in this farm, the workers need an axe and saplings. Optionally, you can give them bone meal. It will then plant the new trees, and if they are grown, cut them down to replant new ones. A fishing area is 9 × 9 blocks wide and can be worked by fishermen. To work in this farm, the fisherman needs a fishing rod, and that's it. An animal farm is 12 × 12 blocks wide. By accessing the farm's interface, you can set the maximum number of animals allowed in the pen. Here you can also decide which animals should be held in the farm. For this farm, you also need to help out a bit and place a fence in order to cage in the animals. Depending on the animal, there will be different configuration options. For chicken, you can decide if the worker should breed them and if the eggs should be thrown or collected. For cows, you additionally decide to milk them. For sheep, you can decide to shear them. And besides these animals, the farm can be made for pigs, goats, camels, horses and rabbits. For all of these animals, you can configure that surplus animals beyond the limited will be slaughtered if the farmer carries an axe. A mining area has a height that can be configured with a maximum width of 16 and a height of 8. Note that you need to place the mining area at the bottom of the square you want your miners to excavate. In the area's interface, you can configure the floor to be filled where holes exist to stop miners from falling. Water and lava sources will automatically be plugged, and also ores exposed in the walls will be mined. When it gets too dark, the miners will place torches. To work in this farm, the miners need a pickaxe, shovel and optionally torches, which they will fetch from the storage. Also, make sure that the miners can access the space you want them to excavate. If you place your mining area too far down and they cannot access it because there's a layer of blocks above it, they won't be able to start working. The kitchen area is 5 × 5 blocks wide. For it to be used, it requires at least a chest and a furnace. By accessing the farm's interface, you can see the number of furnaces, if there's an assigned cook, and the space, so the free slots in the kitchen chests. Furthermore, you can configure if the cook should hand out items to feed villagers to increase the village population. With this mod installed, villager breeding depends on the saturation value of the different food items. Especially meat gives a high value, so if the cook hands out food to the village inhabitants, their saturation value will increase until it reaches a threshold of 15, after which they will breed. This mechanic can be turned off in the configs, back to default vanilla settings. To work, the cook will need a burnable material like coal and, well, an item that can be cooked. The building area is the most advanced feature of this mod. It can be worked by the builder and has a maximum size of 32 × 32 × 32. In this area, your workers can build pre-saved or self-scanned structures. The builders will gather the required blocks from the nearby storage areas and construct the building. To scan one of your existing buildings, in order for your worker to replicate it, you need to place down the area, set the correct size for the scan, and then press Scan Area. It will show the scan of the area, you can give it a name and save it. Then you can place down another building area at a location of your choosing. And here you can choose Load and select a preset of a range of vanilla and slightly modified structures, one you previously scanned, or even an NBT file you downloaded online. After selecting it, you can press Build in order to confirm your choice. Now the building will be visible whenever you're looking at the area icon, and when going into the interface and pressing blocks, you can see all the blocks your worker needs in order to finish the building. The builder needs a pickaxe and the building blocks required to complete the structure in order to work. In creative mode, you can even just choose Place to immediately place the building. The market area can be worked by the merchant. In the interface, you can name the market and set it open or closed. After hiring a merchant, it will move into a nearby market area, which needs some chests for storage. And you can add player or villager trades to it. A player trade has a currency item and a trade item, so you can exactly decide the terms of the trade deal, which is useful for multiplayer servers. Furthermore, you can set a maximum number of trades for the merchant and whether it should accept, for example, damaged tools. For villager trades, you can only decide a trade item, like for example carrots. If there's a nearby villager that has a matching want, so it wants to acquire carrots, the merchant invites the villager over to trade. Then the villager walks over and trades until the stock runs out or the villager stops buying. This is a really useful way to collect more emeralds. I recommend stocking up chests with the loot you want to trade, in order to enable the merchant to trade for a longer time. The emeralds gained from the trades will also appear in the chests in the market area. And finally, there's the Courier. This worker can deliver items to and from waypoints defined in a specific route, so it is basically a logistic system with which you can transport items in a predefined way over large distances, like if you have a farm far away and want the items to be delivered to your home base. To set up a route, you need to open the Villager Recruits map by pressing M by default. Here, on the top left, you can click the button next to Routes and give it a name. Now select the route, and by pressing the middle button, you can transfer it to another player, rename it or delete it. Pressing the square button on the right will change the visuals of claims for better visibility of the routes. When you've selected the route, you can add waypoints on the map by right-clicking. After you set all of the waypoints, you can right-click the Courier again to open its interface and choose the route here. And now that you loaded the map in the Courier, you can add actions for the different waypoints. There are following possible actions for waypoints. Take will take up to the defined amount of a selected item from the location. Put will put up to the defined amount of a selected item into the location. Take any will take all of the selected item type from the location. Put any will put all of the selected item type the Courier carries into the location. Take all will take any item from the location until the Courier's inventory is full. Put all will empty the Courier's entire inventory into the location. Put fill will fill the target inventory up to the defined amount of the selected item. Depending on how many items are already in the inventory, it might also be skipped. Take fill will take up to the defined amount of the selected item. Depending on how much the Courier already holds, it might also be skipped. Wait will make the Courier wait at a waypoint for a defined number of seconds. The Courier can interact with the following location types: any nearby chests or containers at a waypoint, a nearby storage area if they are allowed to access, a nearby market, or a nearby kitchen. A Courier can mount a mule or donkey and then be told to use only the vehicle's inventory by clicking the checkbox. Also, you can decide whether the Courier should walk the path backwards or return straight to the first waypoint when finishing a whole route. Couriers load chunks along the route, so deliveries keep running even when there's no player present. Workers is based on the Recruits mod, and also with the workers, you can create groups, name them, edit them, turn over workers to other players, and so on. You can even configure faction access for the work and storage areas, so that workers of other players can work on them and, for example, access storage areas or markets. For more information about the faction system, check out my Villager Recruits video. Link is in the description. At some point, our town might be under siege, or you will just ring the bell to scare them. In that case, all of the workers will quickly run into their assigned homes. They will stay in their homes until the siege was repelled or until the player orders them to follow or wander again. If you are not able to repel the siege, your work areas will shift to the new owner. If your workers' morale is high, they will flee from the claim and hold their position until the player picks them up, and they will even fight back if they get attacked. However, if their morale is low, they will disband and switch to the claim's faction. The mod can also be configured, like for example for servers, you can set whether players can place their own set of buildings or predefined faction buildings via the build mode setting. You can also change the hire costs per profession and edit some aspects of the worker behavior. The mod is compatible with dynamic trees, and if installed, lumberjacks can fell, strip and plant dynamic trees by default. This covers all the information about the mod. Villager Workers is a super cool extension to Villager Recruits and really enables you to build an actual working kingdom or city with a resource production and inhabitants working in different professions. It is really complex and well made. As the latest update is pretty new, there are still a few minor bugs you might encounter, but it is overall a lot of fun. And I will definitely use it in my own next survival world. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you don't want to miss any further reviews, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.